All right, I've got the favorite time section from my perspective because you guys are all fed, and hopefully you've all used the restroom. So hopefully your undivided attention for 15 minutes. I'm going to talk about an interesting topic, which in some ways is counter to the internet in many ways. It's going to be an anti-technology discussion. So let's keep that contradiction in mind. But it's actually very important. So I hope you'll walk away with at least 2 or 3 nuggets that I think will change your perspective on the world. And I guarantee you will walk away with at least 1 nugget that will change your behavior. And if I don't change your behavior, I will buy you a drink down at the beach. So, power of face-to-face connection. Just a random question. How many of you were here last night to visit the gallery and network? Okay, and how many of you, keep your hands up, you had a reasonably good time, you met some interesting folks, etc. You had a memorable event, right? Okay, put your hands down. How many of you traveled in, unfortunately did not get a chance to socialize and spent the night alone in your hotel room? Okay, keep your hands up. And how many of you had a great time? No, don't answer that question. Hopefully, I was hoping to get everybody out in the social setting. But as you can tell, face-to-face moments they're more memorable. They're the ones that on your deathbed you're going to remember. You're not going to remember the night in the hotel room where you stayed up and whipped up that amazing spreadsheet. And I want to talk a little bit about the power of these connections and the risk that we are facing as a society in terms of potentially losing them, which is kind of scary. So first, a couple of seconds on Evite. Again, I'm the CEO of Evite. I've been there about 3 years. Evite is the world's largest platform for bringing people together face-to-face. Many of you probably think about Evite as an invitation service, which we are. We are the world's largest platform for sending online invitations. We send over 2 billion, reach about 1/4 of the US population. But our mission is much more than that. And it's the mission that has brought me to the company. It's this mission that has inspired my employee base, which is a group of young millennials for the most part. And I know people always talk about the difficulties in keeping folks like that engaged. We have around 100 employees, and over the last 2 years, we have had 1 regrettable loss in the company. And this is in a world where LA is growing very vibrantly in terms of the tech community. And literally, when you measure the engagement of our employee base and ask them what is one of the things that compels you to stay, it's this mission. It's that we are about creating face-to-face moments for people. So that's exciting. Hello. Siri, what should I say next? Yeah. For me personally, I will say, for those of you that do know me, I tend to think of my life in 4-year chunks, which is maybe good and bad, but every job that I've had up until this point in time, and I was the CEO of a company before this, I've kind of looked at my life in 4-year windows. And that window has always been, okay, great, I'm going to learn something, I'm going to achieve something, and that's going to set me up for the next thing. And this is the first time in my career that I can honestly say, I'm not looking for the next thing. Right? I sit on top of this business and I see the potential of this business, and it's clear to me I could be here for the rest of my career. So face-to-face is incredibly empowering. More important than that, face-to-face is ingrained in who we are as a species. If you ask yourself, well, why is face-to-face so important? Why is coming together in person so important? Why do people throw parties? These are questions I asked myself as I joined Evite and spent a bunch of the last 2 years meeting with researchers and academics and understanding the physiology and the psychology of face-to-face interaction. And there's some little-known things. So this is one epiphany that I had after all those discussions, which maybe is obvious to some of you, but for me, and I considered myself a reasonably educated person and actually studied psychology, it was still an epiphany for me. That learning point was the following, and it really comes from a question. The question is, why did we as a species beat out every other species? Like, why is it that Homo sapien is the dominant life form on the planet? Is it because we're smarter? Yeah, we're a little bit smarter. Is it because we're stronger? Hell no. Who's the strongest person in the room? It's just a show of confidence. Anyone sitting next to someone who thinks they're... Excellent. So, pound for pound, the average chimpanzee is about 4 times stronger than the average human. So put another way, I would take whoever is the beefiest, most well-built person, definitely not me, in the room, and you could throw them in the room with like, I don't know if there's a laser here. Take one of the smaller monkeys. That smaller monkey would kick that person's ass. There's really cool physiology actually as to why they're literally, they can do 4 times the weight with the same length of muscle. So we're not the strongest by any means. The reason we survived as a species was because we learned how to communicate, we learned how to collaborate, we learned how to socialize, we learned empathy, we learned how to come together not as individuals, but as groups, and then as tribes, and then ultimately as nations. That's why we dominate. The ramifications of that on our physiology are pretty impressive. So question number 2, why do you have a big head? Not like a big head, like literally, physically, why do we have big heads? Everyone makes the mistake of thinking that this is all because of logic and reasoning, and that's also not the case. The reason that our neocortex grew so large is to accommodate all of those social functions that I described, right? It's because of relationship building and communication and empathy. That's the majority, at least that's what the academics believe, that's the majority of the root cause as to why our brains are actually so large. So it's built into us, it flows through us in chemicals, and for that I'll actually do it's a little bit cheesy, but bear with me because it's the middle of the day. So I want you guys don't have to stand up, but I want you to pair up with a person, just find a person that you can shake hands with that's next to you. Don't do it yet, nope. So you have to do this. So you're gonna shake the person's hand, but you have to do 2 things. You have to look the person in the eye, directly in the eye, and you have to hold that handshake for at least 3 seconds, and keep their gaze for about 3 seconds, okay? And if you don't pair up, then do a threesome. Okay, so do that. Shake someone's hand, look them in the eye, hold it for 3 seconds. All right, good. Now, I can actually see, you guys can't see it from here. No, it's not to have a conversation, even though I do want you to do that. That's it. See, you want to connect, you want to communicate. It's so exciting. All right, so a couple of things. One, I can observe it from here. You guys can't see it. There's a non-trivial percentage of the audience that actually flushed a little bit red just now. I can guarantee that many of you, I don't want to say you felt uncomfortable, but you felt something, and it was more than just the handshake. All right, there's a chemical that flows through your body when you have physical contact called oxytocin. Oxytocin is you can call it the love chemical, for lack of a better term. But literally, hopefully you guys understand how deeply wired this is. The simple act of connecting with someone and looking them in the eye is changing your physiology. Oxytocin, for those of you guys don't know about it, it's a really cool chemical / neurotransmitter. Random fact, just because it's kind of cool. If you take oxytocin and inject it into a female animal, and then show them a male animal, depending on the species, that female will basically fall in love with that male. Right? They will build a preference bond in the lab, which is pretty cool. We could use that in strange ways in human society, but I digress. My core point, it is deeply wedded in our physiology. You can't escape it. Even introverts, that's the other thing when I talk about this, introverts are like, oh crap, it's all about face-to-face interaction. That's gonna drain me. It's not gonna drain you. You might have an intellectual slight aversion to connection, but in your deepest core, it is who you are. You're not going to be able to escape hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. The net result of that is face-to-face interaction makes a huge difference in your life in terms of your health. So this is Robert Waldinger, PhD. Do I really only have 5 minutes left? Ooh, that's a crazy take. All right, I'm going to speed it up. Long story short, he did research to uncover what makes people happy in life. It was a 90-plus year research, probably the longest longitudinal research that's been done that I've ever seen. He tracked people from birth all the way to death to figure out, what was it? Was it money? Was it fame? Et cetera. And no, the simple answer was, it was relationships. It was deep, meaningful relationships with people that you care about and spend time with. He has a great TED Talk. You should definitely check it out. But literally, the power and vibrancy of your social connections when you're in your, say, 30s or 40s is more predictive of your long life, your longevity, than something like your cholesterol level. Right? So it absolutely makes you healthier, which is crazy. Face-to-face interaction also elevates not just you, but the society to a higher place. Right? Having people come together in groups like this is a great example. Right? Magic can happen. Here's just one example. At Evite, we added a very simple feature into every invitation, which is the ability to raise money for a cause. So when you send out an invitation for a party, you can find a cause that you care about, and literally you click a button, and now people can donate to it. We had no idea. We do this with a partner called Pledgeling. We had no idea what the uptake would be. We really didn't market this feature, and we just turned it on. But we've seen amazing uptake. So in the first around 9 months, about $1 million got raised. The 3 to 4 months after that, the next $1 million got raised. So it's organically generating activity in an awesome way. Right? These are people coming together to celebrate moments face to face, and they're also creating some social positive impact, which is awesome. Face to face also fights. Here's one word that you need to walk away with that's important. Nomaphobia. Have you heard that term? Nomaphobia is a real thing. It is the horrible fear and anxiety you feel by not having access to your cell phone. If you wake up in the morning and like the first thing you reach like with a shaky hand is like, oh, something must have happened, then you probably have it. If you have a problem putting your phone away for a couple of hours, you probably have it. I mean, it literally is a clinical condition, right? You know, in the same way that gambling or video games can be addictive, your cell phone can be addictive. It's, of course, a horrible trend. We're trying to fight it in partnership with people like Common Sense Media. It's a great nonprofit. We're out as a company promoting things like device-free dinners with your children and your family. Device-free events could be another one. And the takeaway here to change your behavior is if you have, I don't have my cell phone with me, how many of you, when you are at a dinner with someone, take your cell phone and put it out on the table face down, as if to say, okay, like my cell phone's kind of out of the way. Do any of you guys do that? Yes. Okay, good. Don't do that ever again. So there was a great study done out of West Virginia to understand what are the social dynamics that change when you put a cell phone on the table. And it's very counterintuitive, but people used to think, oh, it's kind of like, well, it's like I'm de-risking it. It's like it's over here, I'm not paying attention. The exact opposite happens. When people are in a conversation with someone who puts their cell phone out, even if they don't pick up the cell phone, those people have a much lower rating on the quality of the conversation, the quality of the interaction, the intelligence of the other person, the empathy, like all bad things. So don't do that. Keep it in your pocket. That's my one behavior change that I want to drive in you guys. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like taking a freaking gun and sticking it on the table. It's like, oh, if you're boring, I'm going to shoot you in the head. Play with this thing instead. So don't do that. Face-to-face does need evangelists. We, as a company, are playing the role of an evangelist. As you can tell, a lot of these things don't make money for us, a company. It's something that I feel passionate about. It's something that I feel is important. We get the help of other folks. We're launching a video series with Heather Dubrow, who is a celebrity figure from The Real Housewives. This is all about education, inspiring you to get together and throw events, instructing you on how to do that in a way that's cheap and affordable, et cetera. So my only ask here is anything that you guys can do in your companies or your businesses to get the word out on the importance of face-to-face interactions in our society is a good thing because, again, at the societal level, we are fighting multiple waves of things that can degrade it, whether it's the cell phone or the online social networks or VR in the future. Like these things can literally dampen the aggregate social activity occurring that's face-to-face, and that would be very bad for the species to go very meta. Finally, I just wanted to make a call out to the IMA. The fact that you are here in this environment shows that you place a strong value on connection and meeting new people and having conversations. So that's wonderful. The IMA is all about that, and I think you've seen so many speeches and you've seen so many anecdotes or heard so many anecdotes about the power of simply bringing people together to connect, not with any agenda, but just to meet each other and to get to know each other, and ultimately to help each other out in unexpected ways. So that's super exciting. And I love that you guys are here. We're excited to see this event grow to double the size and hopefully double the size again the next year. Sinan, in his opening presentation, talked a little bit about the premium membership, so I won't go into that here, but I just will reinforce that premium membership at the IMA is something we're constantly looking at and refining. And this latest kind of incarnation and modification, I think, is super exciting from my perspective, because it really is about packaging up the value that the IMA can bring around these connections. So for a fairly low annual amount, yourselves, well, you guys are already here, but other people in your company, other people that you work with will be able to come to this event, the Vegas event. We will literally hand match them with other people in the network in order to help them build connections and build bridges. They will start to spawn off local in-person groups in their own areas, right? So it's all really grounded in this concept of building face-to-face connections, empowering folks to do that, and getting the value that comes from that. And with that, I will give back a tiny bit of time, because I'll hold myself to that first time ticker. Great seeing all of you here. For all the folks that are new, it's great meeting new faces. And I'll just leave you with one quote before I leave, which is, it shows how deeply the social dynamics are ingrained. It comes from Africa, from a tribe, and it's actually dated. Nobody actually knows the date because it's so old. But the quote is this: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that is so true. So, thank you.